They wouldn't have to fight for it. No. Oh, I don't know. That's hard to hear. It's like it's good. I'll have 5 or 6 or 8 of them every time.
Call into session the Committee on General Laws and Pensions, and we'll start by entertaining a motion to go into executive session. Oh, yeah, we'll call the roll.
Senator Schaaf.
Here.
Wheelan. Hegeman.
Here.
Auger. Schatz. Kevin. Schaefer.
Here.
Okay, now we'll entertain a motion to go into executive. Okay, so do I hear a second? Moved and seconded to go into executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. As you have it, we're in executive session, and I'll just go ahead. Okay, I will move that we take up Senate Bill 1033, which is of Senator Pierce, has to do with designating Old Drum as the historical dog of the state of Missouri, and Jim the Wonder Dog is Missouri's wonder dog. Do I hear a second? It's been moved and seconded to take up this bill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say aye. As you have it. This bill is before us, and the chair will move do pass Senate Bill 1033. And it's seconded. Discussion.
So I'm going to vote to move this bill out, but I want you to know I'm going to be challenging it on the floor by putting forward another dog for this great honor. So yes, so this is not done here today.
This is not done.
And I'm not voting against it because I think, yes, maybe we do need to have a state historical dog.
Now, if you wanted to amend it and then let it go consent, but if you wanted to amend it on the floor, it will not go consent.
Right. And
Consent's
so
already over.
I want,
Oh, consent's already open.
Yeah.
it's today, right?
It's over here.
No, it is.
It's,
It was today. We're out of session for today.
okay. And you know what? I still want to give the good senator who offered the bill the opportunity to fight me on this one on the floor, so I don't want to go consent. So I'm not going to offer an amendment here. We'll discuss it.
Further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just have one statement. I don't have a dog in this fight.
Does this dog hunt? I don't know. Further discussion? Seeing none. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Schaaf.
Aye.
Wheelan. Hegeman.
Aye.
Auger. Schatz. Kevin. Schaefer.
Aye.
By your vote of 4 ayes, 0 no, we have voted to do pass Senate Bill 1033. The chair will move to bring up Senate Bill 1057, which is my bill that authorizes the governor to transfer a little chunk of property for a firehouse in St. Joe. Is there a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Senator Hegeman. Okay, all those in favor of taking up the bill say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Guys do have it. Guys do have it. The bill is before us. Discussion. Seeing none, I guess I move do pass Senate Bill 1057. Oh, there is a second.
Wait. I understand.
Oh, hold on a second. back up a second. We have a Senate committee sub that is identical to the bill, but it has an emergency clause. I guess we really need that firehouse. Do we have that before us? Does anybody want to see that? Go get it. Jesse? Okay.
Is that it?
Listen, I honestly didn't know that was the case. Anybody want to see that? It's just basically, it's the bill with an emergency.
So I'm just curious as to what the emergency is like.
Well, I guess it's just, they want to build this firehouse. And, okay, it mirrors the House bill. I would have, they've been working on this. It's a little piece of property between two streets that just has grass and trees now. And they wanted to take that and build a firehouse.
Yeah, I'm all okay with that. I guess to make it match the House version is probably the best one's right there so far, so. Okay. All right.
You're okay with that?
Yeah.
So I will then move to adopt this Senate committee substitute that has the emergency clause on it.
Second.
Okay. Discussion. All those in favor of adopting the Senate committee substitute, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. You have adopted the Senate committee substitute. I move that we do pass Senate committee substitute for Senate Bill 1057. Discussion. Seeing none, call the roll.
Second.
Oh, we need a second.
Senator Schaaf.
Aye.
Wheeler. Aye. Hegeman.
Aye.
Augur. Schatz. Kevin. Schaefer.
Aye.
4-0.
Okay, by your vote of 4 ayes, 0 no, you have moved to do pass Senate committee substitute for Senate Bill 1057. Do we need to have a separate vote on the emergency clause? Like we normally would? That's just only for. Okay, next is House Bill 1472, which is handled by Senator Dixon. And if you recall, that one basically talks about instead of having the court notify a retirement plan when someone is convicted of a felony, then it now becomes the employer who does the notification in that case. And we didn't hear any negative testimony on that. So I will go ahead and move do pass House, I'll move to bring the bill back. Seconded by Senator Wieland. All those in favor of taking it up, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. As do have it, the ayes do have it. We have taken up the bill, and I will move do pass House Bill 1472.
Second.
Seconded by Senator Wieland, and discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did have some questions about it, but they've been answered satisfactorily. So I'm
Okay. Okay. Any further discussion?
That's on mine, so.
All right. Okay. Then call the roll.
Senator Schaaf.
Aye.
Wheeler. Aye. Hegeman.
Aye.
Augur. Schatz. Kevin. Schaefer.
Aye.
4-0.
By your vote of 4 ayes, 0 no, you're voted to do pass House Bill 1472, and that brings us to the last one, House Bill 1658. I move we take that one. Seconded by Senator Wieland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes do have it. The ayes do have it. The bill is before us. I move to pass House Bill 1658, which establishes the Show Me Compassionate Medical Education Day, authorizes a multi-center study into the root causes of depression among medical students. This was handled by Senator Onder. I'm not aware of any committee sub. But we do not have a committee sub.
Oh, we just, okay, thank you.
So, discussion. No, wait, do we have a second? Seconded by Senator Wieland. Discussion.
Yeah, I will make a comment. You know, and thank you. I asked the representative if I could add on our suicide prevention and awareness bill, and he was very gracious about it and said yes. But I became concerned, not because I don't want my bill to pass, but because I don't want to slow his down from passing and trying to do the right thing for the body as a whole, as opposed to just trying to get my bill moving forward. So we have consent status on my bill in the Senate and in the House, in order that we don't keep having to send this one back to be reviewed and relooked at from chamber to chamber. I have let the representative know that I would not be adding my bill on because I thought it might slow his down from moving forward. So I want you to know that everybody was wonderful and agreeable to doing this. I just would like each of these bills to pass. So.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Senator Schaaf.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Hegeman.
Aye.
Ponder. Schatz. Kevin. Schaefer.
Aye.
Woodruff.
So by your vote of 4 ayes, 0 no, you have voted to do pass House Bill 1658. And so I move that we go out of the executive session. Seconded by Senator Wieland. All those in favor of going out of executive session say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. As we have it, we're out of executive session. And now we will take up Senate Bill 1106 of Senator Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, Senator Kurt Schaefer, 19th Senate District, here to present Senate Bill 1106. It's the same as the bill that we had last year, just a minimum time to get it done. What this bill does is, if you're a state employee who is a participant in either MPERS or MOSERS, either state retirement system for MoDOT and Highway Patrol, or the general state retirement system, if you retire and ultimately want to go back to work, you can pay back in what you received in retirement benefits and then just continue working. It's particularly applicable to members of the Highway Patrol. They do have a mandatory retirement age of 60. I think the average retirement age of a road trooper is about 57. And I think sometimes people retire, they're still relatively young, they want to go back to work. And this creates a situation where they're not penalized, they pay back in, they have that option. It doesn't force anybody to go back to work, it's just an option if they want to do it.
Good question. How much might this amount to? I mean, it depends upon how long you were retired for, I guess.
It does, and I think it obviously would depend on how many people take advantage of it, which I don't think would be many, but I think it would provide an opportunity for some people who do want to go back to work.
Is this the kind of thing where you might like retire and then just very quickly be named to some high position kind of thing?
It could certainly be applicable to that. It could also be applicable, you're a 57-year-old trooper and you retire, and then 2 years later you can get a teaching position or do something else, and you decide you don't want to be retired and you want to keep working, and so you pay back in. And
so a person who did something like that might have to pay in like $50,000, $100,000. It could be a lot.
right, it could be cost prohibitive at some point. If they've been retired for too long and they don't have the cash to pay back in, they couldn't do it. But if you've been out for a year or something, it would probably be something you could do.
Okay, questions? Senator Schaefer.
I just want to make sure I'm clear. This is only for retired members of the Department of Transportation.
No, it applies to both. So that's why it lists both. It lists both the retirement system for MoDOT and troopers as well as MOSERS.
Okay, so if there is a person who was, I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. So because you have a section in here that talks about if a person is elected to any state office or appointed to any state office. This is on page 2.
Yeah, I think the chairman brought that issue up too. That would be an applicable situation.
So, for example, an attorney, and I think an attorney who worked in the Attorney General's office, who gets retirement under this plan, is that right? And then,
Well, I mean, I used to be at the Attorney General's
I know,
office. I
that's
know
what I'm asking you
I've got about 5 years in MOSERS, I think, so.
okay, so then.
But I would have to
elected-
retire and be collecting retirement. These are people, so they actually retire
Yes,
and then they decide they don't want to be retired. They want to go back to work.
right,
So
so,
right now there's a prohibition. You couldn't work more than half time, and otherwise you couldn't collect your retirement. This just allows you to pay back in and then build on it like you just continue to work.
all right, so I'm just trying to get clear in my head, and I'm sorry, because this is not clear to me, and it's not your fault,
Okay.
it's just because I don't understand. So, for example, a person who worked in the Attorney General's office,
Uh-huh.
and then did not continue that work and went on to be elected to office, and then wanted to, after his or her term of election, wanted to go back into the state system and work again?
Well, I think in that circumstance, you'd be working the whole time.
Okay, so you'd be working, because you're being paid to be in that elective office. And that's
Right.
part of it.
It just, it lets you, yeah, I mean, it's someone who is in the one of the retirement systems. So they retire, they're collecting benefits, but they want to go back in a public position. And so they just pay back in, and then they continue to work as if they had not retired.
Right, so is any time that you stop working in the public retirement, stop working in the public arena and go into some kind of private work, and then decide you want to come back to the public arena, does that give you the opportunity then to buy your way back in?
No, I don't think so, because if you were working in the private arena, you wouldn't be drawing retirement from the state retirement.
Right, okay, that's my question.
Yeah.
You don't draw retirement if you are working in, okay, thank you, thanks.
Further questions? Seeing none. Oh, wait.
I just have a question there. There are some provisions where you could draw your retirement from the state and continue working in private.
Yeah, I think there's an number of hours per year,
Yeah.
so 1,200 hours. It's basically, it's a little less than part-time, I think. I mean, because essentially under that, you're considered still retired. But that wouldn't implicate any of this. This is if you want to go back to work full-time.
Thank you.
Why do we have to put the same language in 3 different sections of the law?
I don't know, just the way the draft.
the way it is.
Yes.
Further questions? Seeing none. Senator, do you have any witnesses that you'd like to?
I don't know if there's anyone here, Mr. Chairman.
Does anybody here wish to testify in favor of Senate Bill 1106? Does anybody wish to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 1106? How about on an informational basis? Seeing none.
See, everyone's good with the bill, so.
That's what it sounds like. This will bring to a close our hearing on Senate Bill 1106. Do you have any closing comments?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, Senator Hegeman, would you mind if we let Senator Nasheed go first, since she's waiting patiently and you're on the committee?
That would be my pleasure.
Oh, how nice of you guys.
Mr. Chairman.
You're awesome. We will now have a hearing on,
Bipartisan fashion.
yes, we are in the bipartisan fashion. You used to be on this committee, remember?
Yeah,
Yeah, and we were always very bipartisan.
we're
Remember
always
that?
bipartisan in the Senate.
In the General Laws Committee, remember Senator Nieves, the great
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
Senate Bill 1146.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, I am Senator Jamila Nasheed, representing the 5th Senatorial District in the city of St. Louis. Today, I present Senate Bill 1146 for your consideration as well as your support. Senate Bill 1146 allows for the Board of Trustees of the St. Louis City Retirement System to authorize a cost of living increase for their retirees. The bill allows increases up to 5% per year, but only if the cost of living actually increased during that particular year. St. Louis City Retirement have not had a cost of living increase adjustment since 2006, so I truly believe that it's past overdue. Senate Bill 1146 merely allows for St. Louis educators the same COLA by the statute that out-of-state educators have through the peer system, as you all know. It is simply putting them on the same level playing field as every other retirement system in the state of Missouri. Senate Bill is about ensuring that those who have served our community, be it educating our students or educating adults, are giving the best possible treatment here in the state of Missouri when it comes to their retirement system and their retirement fund. With that, I'll take any questions.
Senator, right now, the Board of Trustees can give cost of living increases, correct?
The Board of Trustees throughout the other retirement system.
Specifically, the St. Louis Board of Education.
Board of Education can, but they have not, they're just not doing it.
But they could.
They
under the
could,
law.
absolutely.
And I noticed that you bracketed that out in sub 2, and then you've added sub 3, which codifies that they not only can they, but they have
They
to.
should, yes.
They have to.
Yes.
So you're taking it from they may to they must.
So they shall, that's right.
Okay.
And I truly believe that, you know, they deserve to live comfortable. They were all of our teachers, and if it wasn't for them, we probably wouldn't know as much as we know today. And so it's up.
And these teachers, they are allowed to participate in Social Security also.
Correct.
They get a cost of living increase under that retirement, don't they?
That's a good question. That question can be answered with one of the expert witnesses.
Okay, well, now, one of the questions that I have is, if they can give a cost of living increase now, then couldn't they tailor that cost of living increase to the actuarial soundness of the plan? And and just to be blunt about it, if we go to this, to your language where they have to, could that put the actuarial soundness of the plan at risk?
No, I don't think that would. The public school retirement system of St. Louis is in good shape right now, with over 80% pre-funded by the national standard. So they're all intact. They're well intact to be able to do just what we're asking that they do. And that's to allow for COLA increases.
Okay, any other questions? Anyone have any questions? Senator Hegeman?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Senator Nasheed. Just a quick question on the cost of living increase. Do you have that tied into the specific index? Or is that?
It would go up. It would actually, what we would allow for the cost of living, how we would allow for it to increase is basically doing the cost of living actual increase every year. Whenever the cost of living increases, that's when they will get their increase.
Okay. Is it, yeah, is tied to the CPI somewhere further in the bill? Consumer price index, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you.
The language of your bill says, if the Board of Trustees determines that the cost of living has increased. So it doesn't say in the language that they have to go by any particular thing. I mean, wouldn't it be possible under that language for them to just say, looks like it increased?
Well, that's something that we can discuss, and that's a great point. I think that we probably need to look at the CPI and determine if that is the best way to look at if or when we increase the cost of living for our retirees.
But then on the flip side, if they don't do that, if you don't put the CPI in, they could determine that it had not increased when in fact the CPI did increase. And leaving that sort of flexibility might help out the soundness of the plan at some point. Something to think about. Further questions? Welcome, Senator Unger. Okay, do you have any witnesses?
I have expert witnesses.
Okay. Okay. Bring your. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Jim Kreider, Executive Director of the Missouri Retired Teachers Association, and we'd like to testify in support of Senate Bill 1146. The St. Louis City retirees have not had a cost of living adjustment since 2006.
2008?
6.
2006.
They have lost 25% of their purchasing power as senior citizens. It's really becoming an issue of making ends meet for these public servants who have served public schools for 30 plus years. So we've been trying to find a way that they would have a consistent cost of living adjustment, such as Outstate has. This language is supposed to, and I think it does, mirror the cost of living statute of the public school retirement system of Missouri, the Outstate teachers. In an issue of fairness, why can't St. Louis City have the same cost of living adjustment as Outstate is the argument. COLAs are very expensive to the city. We understand that. But currently, in 2012, for example, the public school retirement system of St. Louis City sent a letter to the Special Administrative Board, that's the school board that's in charge by state appointment, sent a letter to them asking them to approve a cost of living increase. They did not even get a response. I mean, they didn't even have respect enough to say, dear system or dear retirees, we can't do it at this time. They they just merely did not respond. And so there's an issue of respect here somewhat in my mind, that these retirees should at least be considered to have a cost of living adjustment every once in a while. 10 years is too long in our opinion. So at MRTA, there are a lot of MRTA members, of course, that are St. Louis State teachers. And this is our way of making it the issue fair, and our way to have a consistent cost of living adjustment per statute like the rest of the state has. So I guess I would do, glad to answer your question if you have any.
Okay, I do.
Yes, sir.
Does Kansas City School District have a COLA?
I do not.
They do not. Now, is it true what I said earlier, that under the law, the Board of Trustees is authorized to give a COLA?
The Board of Trustees determines the cost of living as measured by generally accepted standards. That is the CPI.
Okay, and so right now, the Board of Trustees is authorized to give a COLA and could have done so since 2006.
No, that's not correct.
Okay, now I'm looking at the language and it says, quote, "The Board of Trustees is authorized from time to time, in its discretion, to increase the retirement benefits, now or hereinafter provided under the sections noted, and to adopt and implement additional retirement benefits for persons who have retired, including cost of living adjustments, provided that the Board of Trustees finds the additional benefits will not require an increase in the contribution rate required by the members," and so on. It says that. So is it true that they could have given such a cost of living increase?
It's not true.
Okay, tell me why.
They cannot.
Because I'm
give it.
reading the opposite.
Right, they cannot give it unless the state and then the special administrative board approves it, because it will take a contribution increase.
Okay, so now,
We have the authority to.
so
The
now,
system does not have authority to give it.
because it would have required a contribution increase.
I believe so.
Okay, so now, if we pass this bill, will it require a contribution increase?
Probably
And where will that money come from?
from the system
And the system,
and retiree or the employee.
and the special administrative board wants to be able to put that money in for this purpose. They have said they want to.
I haven't talked to them. They won't talk to me.
Okay, now this is a theoretical, and just want to know, should the plan become insolvent, would the state of Missouri in any possible way be liable?
I'm not a Supreme Court justice, Mr. Chairman. I do not know. I don't think so.
So you don't believe that it's the case that the state of Missouri is on the hook for an insolvent retirement system of the St. Louis Public School?
Take the precedent of Colorado, North Dakota, Rhode Island. They have all reduced benefits to funding issues. And they have set precedents around the nation that the state is not liable. If there's no money, you get no benefit.
Okay, so I want to reiterate. Right now, they could, if they could show that the additional benefit would not require an increase in the contribution rate, they figure it would require an increase in the contribution rate. So therefore, under the current law, they you don't know whether or not the St. Louis Special Administrative Board would feel that they had the money to fund such a thing if we passed this law. But if we passed it, they would have to. They would have to fund it, correct?
That's correct.
And I have to tell you that I think every member on this committee is probably sensitive to the idea that, you know, all the teachers across the state should be treated pretty much the same. I mean, we'd love everybody to get a COLA if we could. But at the same time, I have to tell you that if the state of Missouri is in any way on the hook, this is a serious matter. And so it needs to have some actuarial clarity as to what the risk is for doing this.
I agree. Of course, we would like to see fiscal note. I don't see one yet.
Okay, what's the status of the fiscal note?
It's zero.
The fiscal note is zero.
Well, there we go.
Are there other questions of this witness? Senator Unger.
Yeah, I was looking at the same section of the existing statute that Senator Schaaf was reading to you. It goes on, will not require an increase in the contribution rate by members, will not increase the contribution rate required by the board, and is actuarially sound. What can you tell us right now about the state of funding of the St. Louis teachers' pension, and where is it actuarially right now?
The last I seen was 84% pre-funded.
So
So that's considered very well funded by national standards. as the
Right.
Senator indicated.
Okay, and now, you said when a COLA was requested, was it the Board of Trustees that didn't reply to you, or who was it?
It was the state special administrative.
Special administrator by the state, okay.
SAB,
Okay.
yes.
So they didn't reply that it would jeopardize the 80% funding that you now have?
They didn't reply at all.
They didn't reply at all, okay, thank you.
The data that I have shows that as of 2016, the plan is funded 76.8%, which is pretty close to 80%. Further discussion? Senator Reed.
Real quick question, the Special Administrative Board, who are they and how do they get to be on the board? Tell me a little bit about that board, so I know who they are.
A little bit out of my expertise, but it's been appointed by the department.
I can do it. Okay. I think it's approximately 2007, they came into existence. St. Louis Public Schools lost their accreditation. And as a result of that, they had to put in place the SAB board. And they have been in ever since, controlling the functioning of the St. Louis Public School District. They're overseeing the functioning right now. We also have an elected board that's still in existence, but they have no voting power or anything. They cannot make any decisions right now under the SAB board.
So the SAB, now, when they came into existence, were they appointed by the governor? Were they appointed by the legislature? Who appointed them? How did they get to where they're at?
It was the governor, I think, appointed them. Don't quote me on that. I think it was the mayor, the board of aldermen. Well, I think it was the mayor, the board of aldermen, and one other individual that actually made those appointments.
Okay, and I guess what I'm curious is, they
And the
seem,
governor, I think.
yeah, and the reason why I'm asking these questions is they seem to be the ones reluctant to go along with the COLA. And I didn't know if they had terms, and if they were accountable to the taxpayers, or they accountable to the teachers union.
Well, they're not
Who are they
elected.
accountable to?
Yeah, they're not elected.
They're not elected.
They are accountable to those that are appointed there. And there's no term limit under the statute. But we have someone here that represents the St. Louis Public School District, and I'm sure that they will be able to articulate
More about that.
more about what
Sure.
their role
Okay.
is and the function of the board.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, further discussion? Okay, seeing none, thank you.
Wait. Just historically, is there any particular reason why there aren't COLAs in the contracts of the St. Louis and Kansas City public school teachers?
Well, the St. Louis City system was formed in the early 40s,
Okay,
one of the first systems in the nation to form,
sure,
because Social Security under Franklin Roosevelt did not allow public workers into Social Security. So
right,
you had teachers, firemen, and such create their own systems.
right,
St. Louis at the time created their system. Outstate created their system in 1946.
okay,
So they kind of took what wasn't working over here and made their law a little better. They had they eventually had an automatic cost of living adjustment. in the law.
sure.
So, I'd like to see St. Louis City teachers into the public school retirement system in Missouri. I mean, that's the real solution, but anyway, that's a whole nother ballgame.
All right.
But we would just like to have, some way, find a way for, to at least be considered for a cost of living adjustment.
Okay, thank you.
I want to just run through this one more time. On page 1 of the bill, it says the Board of Education, and then there's the Board of Trustees. And it says the Board of Education can, in its discretion, increase the retirement benefits, but it's has to be approved by the Board of Trustees. Now, it seems to me that the Board of Education could do cost of living adjustments, if you look at line 5. And then the Board of Trustees could approve it, but you don't have the requirement of the, those requirements on the next page for their approval. That's if the Board of Trustees wants to unilaterally approve the benefits. Isn't that correct? That's how I'm reading it. We have a lawyer on the committee. See, the way I'm reading this, the Board of Education could say, we want to give a cost of living increase. The Board of Trustees could approve it, and they would not have to say at that point that it would require an increase, that it would not require an increase in the contribution rate and so on. Am I reading this correctly?
You may be, but that's not the way it's working.
Well, it doesn't matter. What I'm wanting to know is what's possible.
Yeah.
If the Board of Education wanted the retired teachers to have a cost of living increase, they could give it. I mean, it is within their power to do so right now, correct?
Senator, there is no real Board of Education now in St. Louis City.
The SAB then, is the acting board.
I guess so, yes. But
Are you seeing what I'm
what
saying?
happened in,
Yeah.
what happened in 2012 is the Board of Trustees recommended a COLA. That means the system, the Board of Trustees recommended a COLA to the SAB, in which they got no response. So, that was 2012. So now it's 10 years later, or 4 years later, you know.
Do you have anything at all on the actuarial effect on the plan of this proposal?
I do not, sir.
Okay. Well,
It's the fiscal number.
the fiscal
No, I
note is
did not see
0.
No, the assumption's about here.
The last period. So it says the increase in retirement benefits is required by this proposal would result in potential increase in employer and or employee contributions in excess of 0.25% for its actuarial soundness to not be affected. I don't know, how big, is that a big thing, a little thing? Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, does anyone else wish to testify in favor of Senate Bill 1146? Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, LaWanda Gifford, A&T Missouri, like to go on record we are in support of this legislation. And we'd like to, first of all, thank the senator for sponsoring this bill. A lot of the questions you asked, Mary Armstrong is the president of Local 420. She was supposed to be here today, but wasn't able to because she had some other meetings that she was required to go to. So these questions you are asking, I will get this information from her and provide it to you.
Okay, thank you. Questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you. Be sure to fill out the witness form.
I have them right here.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to testify in favor of Senate Bill 1146? Seeing none, anyone wishing to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 1146? Seeing none, on an informational basis for Senate Bill 1146. Senator, do you have any closing comments?
No, we'll get the information you're looking for, okay?
Okay, thank you, Senator. Okay, that'll bring to a close the hearing on Senate Bill 1146 and move it to the So we're opening up a hearing on Senate Bill 1090.
Having trouble getting to the chair, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry about that. Mr. Chairman and committee members, for the record, I am Dan Hegeman of the 12th District in the great northwest part of the state, here to present Senate Bill 1090, which changes the employer contribution for colleges and university retirement plan and requires employees to contribute to the plan. The College and University Retirement Plan, otherwise known as CURP, is a retirement program available to employees of colleges and universities in Missouri. It is a defined contribution plan that is used by teaching personnel, instructors, professors, and certain administrators. The current plan only allows for employer contributions and contributions that are indexed to a rate of 1% less than the MOSERS annual normal cost rate. This has led to a continued decline in the contributions rate to the plan. If this structure remains unchanged, contribution rates to CURP will result in an inadequate retirement program. In order to ensure long-term viability of CURP, this language changes the current law to require employers to contribute 5.5% to the plan and employees to contribute 2% to the plan. Basically, this is a plan that universities use to attract professors and faculty to their institutions, and it gives them mobility. If the professors that want to move from institutions to institutions look for these type of plans that they can take their defined contributions with them as they go from one institution to the next. So basically, upwardly mobile faculty and professors, you'll find these plans attractive. And the current setup has the plans declining in rates, and so that's why we've come forth with this bill. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I have some folks here to testify in favor of it.
Okay, I had a follow-up question, and it is the same question I asked on the last bill. If this plan were to become insolvent, would the state of Missouri be on the hook for?
I think we've got some folks that can answer that better than I.
Other questions of the sponsor? Seeing none?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Good afternoon, Senators. My name is Brant Shields, and I am the Chief of Staff to the President of Missouri Western State University in wonderful St. Joseph, Missouri, part of the 34th District, but also part of the Great Northwest. I am, by the nature of my position, a registered lobbyist. Missouri Western supports Senate Bill 1090 because it provides a viable solution to the unintended consequences of the MSEP 2011 plan. As the Senator mentioned about what CURP is, and that's a defined contribution plan that is for all faculty members in Missouri's four-year public universities, with the exception of the University of Missouri system, which has their own faculty retirement plan. As we noticed earlier, it is a 1% less than the employer normal rate set by MOSERS. Prior to the changes in the MSEP plan in 2011, the percentage contribution hovered between 7.2 and 7.8% for the years of 2002 to 2010. However, once MSEP 2011 was set in place with a 4% employee contribution, the employer normal rate has declined, bringing the CURP rate down with it. For fiscal years 15-16, the contribution rate is 5.89%. For fiscal year 16-17, the contribution rate is 5.67%. This rate will continue to decline and could likely reach 3% or lower, making this retirement plan inadequate for income replacement for future retiring faculty members. Senate Bill 1090 provides a viable and fiscally responsible solution to this issue. First, it places the employer's defined contribution again at a fixed 5.5% with a 2% employee contribution, total of 7.5%, which brings it back to the pre-2011 levels. I've spoken with the leaders of our faculty senate at Missouri Western, and they are also in support of this bill. It provides a solution for more robust programs to assist with income replacement for our faculty members, and it will assist in recruiting top-tier faculty members to the state of Missouri. In answer to the senator's question that he just brought up, due to the nature of this plan, it is not a defined benefit plan. It's a contribution plan that is administered by MOSERS, but really it's a third-party TIA CREF plan where the money is put into a pot that travels with the faculty member. As there's no defined contribution, there's not a fiscal responsibility from the state towards this plan.
Gotcha.
So I'm happy to answer any questions, but thank you for allowing me to testify today.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Be sure to fill out a witness form.
Right here with my testimony.
Anyone else
Senator.
wishing to testify in favor of Senate Bill 1090?
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Wagner. I'm the Executive Director of the Council on Public Higher Education, representing all of our public four-year universities. I won't replow the ground that's been plowed, but all of our presidents are in favor of this. Want to stabilize the retirement plan to better attract and retain quality employees. Appreciate Senator Hegeman's and Senator Schaaf's leadership on this.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Be sure to leave your witness form. Anyone else? Please come forward.
My name is Ryan. My name is Ryan Booth. I'm the Chief of Staff at Missouri State University, and like Mr. Shields, I'm a registered lobbyist on behalf of due to my position. I don't need to replow territory either. Just wanted to submit my testimony in support of those.
Okay, questions of the witness? Seeing none, thank you very much. Be sure to leave your witness form. Mr. Fagan.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Otto Fagan speaking for Missouri National Education Association. On behalf of our members and affected four-year institutions, we'd also like to go on the record in support of Senate Bill 1090. Happy to answer any questions the committee may have.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else wishing to testify in favor of Senate Bill 1090? Anyone wishing to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 1090? Only had proponents. Good. Anyone wishing to testify on an informational basis? Seeing none, this will bring to a close the hearing on Senate Bill 1090. And Mr. Vice Chairman, would you
Sorry.
all righty.
Next, we'll be hearing on Senate Bill 1059. Are we ready, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Senator Rob Schaaf from St. Joseph, presenting for your consideration Senate Bill 1059, which is identical to House Bill 2314 regarding the public school retirement system of St. Louis. Representative Lira, who is the chairman of the Joint Committee on Pensions, asked me if I would offer up the identical bill. There are some concerns about this bill. We're going to have this hearing. Representative Lira has concerns about the bill, so I'm not exactly certain that the bill is on the fast track, if that's clear. It does a lot of things to the public school retirement system. It's designed to put it into good shape actuarially, and at the same time help out the teachers in the St. Louis public retirement system. It would do several things. One of the things it would do would be to change the retirement age at which you could retire from 65 to 62. Instead of having 85 and out, you would have 80 and out. New hires would, instead of having a 2% per year creditable service multiplier, would have a 1.75% multiplier. Basically, it means that right now, if you worked for 30 years, you could get 60% of your retirement. Afterwards, if you were, it would take you more years to get to that maximum 60%. And then also, it allows for increases in the current member's contribution. And I have a witness here, or more than one, who can go over the bill in more detail and answer your questions.
Okay. Are there any questions of the sponsor? Seeing none, I guess bring forward the first witness.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is John Dalton. I'm a partner with the law firm of Armstrong Teasdale, and I serve as legal counsel to the Special Administrative Board of the Transitional School District in the City of St. Louis. With me today is Ms. Angie Banks, who is the Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer for the St. Louis Public Schools. I want to thank Senator Schaaf for his leadership in this. We have been working with Representative Lear for the last 2 years on this matter, and we believe most, if not all, of his concerns are being addressed. And we have just captured some of that analysis in a new cost study that was released on Friday. So we are continuing to work with Representative Lear, who has been interested in this matter for a long time. With that, to discuss the positive impacts that this bill we believe will have on the St. Louis Public Schools, I'll turn it over to Angie Banks with one final comment. The Special Administrative Board was appointed when the St. Louis Public Schools were found to have lost their accreditation. They are now provisionally accredited, and if they continue on the progress they are on, and they have sufficient scores to be fully accredited right now. If this progress continues, and we are confident that it will, they will be the only urban school district in the country that I'm aware of that has lost and then regained its accreditation in service to the students of the city of St. Louis, and in its same format. Oftentimes when schools, particularly urban school districts that educate high concentrations of children living in poverty and otherwise facing challenges in their education, those school districts lose their accreditation or need to be broken up and attached to neighboring districts or otherwise reformatted. We believe that St. Louis is on the path to success. One of the jobs of the SAB is to essentially put itself out of business, because it's not there permanently and has no intention to be there permanently. And before it can leave, it has a number of responsibilities. I'm sorry. Oh, a little better. I hope everyone had heard my prior remarks. But one of its responsibilities is to ensure the financial soundness of the district. This legislation is aimed at addressing that matter. The contributions that have been made to the teachers' retirement fund in the city of St. Louis have increased recently from $19 million a year to almost $40 million. That is nearly 20% of our annual payroll. That's not sustainable. And we have to get a system that recognizes the service that our retirees made and that attracts new and talented teachers and continues to compensate those fairly, not only in terms of their salary, but also in their benefits, those that are currently serving our students. Very, very important. This bill helps move us forward. Ms. Banks.
Before we do that, can I ask you a few questions?
Certainly.
Since you brought that up, I was asking on the last bill, and it seems like you're the prime guy to answer my questions.
I hope so.
So there, from what I believe I've seen on the phone, there's 3 members of the SAB.
There are, Senator, the Special Administrative Board comes out of Senate Bill 781, which was enacted in 1998. And it was designed to deal with the circumstances that were presented in the St. Louis Public Schools. And it also was intended to capture some money that was currently flowing through the federal court system associated with the desegregation case and bring an end to 30+ years worth of litigation. So they wrote a statute that set up a number of provisions that enabled the city of St. Louis to go to the voters and ask for additional local effort, have that money matched by through the foundation formula under line 14B, free and reduced price lunch, and generate enough in revenue to bring to a close the federal desegregation litigation. In addition to that, members of the Senate at the time, mostly those of the minority party, then Republicans, Peter Kinder, Bill Kinney, David Clarich, and others, along with Senator House, and Senator Caskey said, okay, that's fine. We want to bring this case to a close. But what happens when the St. Louis public schools fail? Because we're not confident in the current form of governance. And so they set up a provision for the establishment of a transitional school district. And then by a gubernatorial appointment. And then that transitional school district had representation from the city of St. Louis in the form of the mayor, the president of the Board of Aldermen, and the teachers union. When the school district lost its accreditation, the law says that the teachers union representative would be replaced by a gubernatorial appointee in the form of a chairman of the special administrative board. That occurred in June of 2007. The TSD was put in place in February of 2007.
Okay. Now,
Sorry for the long answer.
That's
but-
okay. Maybe this one will be short. So the three members that are currently on the board, do they serve out a specific term? Or they serve at the leisure of who appointed them? Or how does that work? Because apparently, this is from 2007 to today. It's been 9 years of the same original people on there. Are there changes? I need a little bit of that.
Certainly. Rick Sullivan was appointed by then Governor Blunt and reappointed and confirmed or not changed by Governor Nixon. He has been there since the start. Richard Gaines was appointed by President of the Board of Aldermen, Lewis Reed, and he has been there from the start. And Mayor Slay has appointed Melanie Adams, and she has been there from the start. Several of them have attempted to get away. They are reminded that the SAB is somewhat akin to Hotel California. You can check in, but you can never leave. Their consistency in service has been part of the success of this board. That's an editorial comment on mine, from me alone. But the short answer to your question is they have not changed. And it is that continuity that that has allowed them to make very tough decisions, sometimes irrespective of political consequences, which is again part of their responsibility. They are in place to put themselves out of business and return this the governance of the school back to the elected board, which has remained in place and which has stood for election and which has two functions specifically set forth in Senate Bill 781, and that is reporting and auditing of the district.
Would anybody else have any questions before we? Okay, I'm ready to jump with Mrs.
Thank you. Once again, my name is Angie Banks and I'm the CFO for the district. I've been with St. Louis Public Schools for almost 8 years now, and I have seen the growth that we've made both financially and academically. We've had as large as a $65 million budget deficit, and now we have over a $20 million fund surplus. So we've made great gains. However, it has been a struggle. It's difficult to plan when you have the pension that is actuarially determined what the employer contribution is. That has increased by 50% over the last 5 or 6 years, from 19 million to, it's difficult to plan. So oftentimes when we receive the invoice as to what we must pay for that year, the budget has already been set because we don't receive that until we're into the fiscal year. So we'll have to go back and make adjustments in the budget. And we're certainly co-teachers. We love our teachers and we would love to be able to see them get what they deserve. However, at this point, it's early in our financial strength. We're still growing and we really just need some relief. Our number of employees has declined during that time period, where our retirees has increased. So the employer contribution must continue to increase to pay those benefits. So we think that with this bill, it will give us an opportunity to do better planning. And overall, there are opportunities, I think good opportunities for the teachers, as has been discussed with the retirement age and the rule of 80. So overall, we're in full support of this bill.
Any questions?
Yes.
Senator Hoops, right ahead.
I have a question, and I'm sure a lot of you who understand how all this works know the answer better than I, but when you reduce the retirement age from 85 to 80, how is that a financial help to the system?
Well, at the same time, there are increases in the staff contributions to the pension. So it's somewhat of an offset, but it gives the teachers an opportunity to retire earlier if they so choose.
Can I add something, Senator? That will also incentivize some of the higher paid, more senior teachers to take retirement, affording us the opportunity to bring in newer teachers, which would be subject to the contribution requirements under the statute.
Right, I understand that, but then aren't you paying a teacher who's now retired his or her retirement, and you're paying a new lower paid, yes, but an additional person. So that's why I'm not sure.
The plan is funded, as you heard, under testimony to regarding a prior bill at 76.7%. So it is solidly funded, and those dollars are there to pay retirees today. What we're contributing to is the continued investment in that fund, and it's gone up, as Ms. Banks said, nearly double in the last 5 years. So as this bill will place us on parity with the Kansas City School District and our equivalent on the west side of the state. And it will slowly lower down the employer contribution, which is uncapped right now. And it brings us down 1 percentage point per year, while it places a 8% contribution requirement, similar to Kansas City, on new hires, January 1 of 2017, and slowly increases at, I believe, 0.5% or some small amount on existing teachers. As of January 1, 17, will go from 5% up to 8%. So we believe, and in fact confirmed by the cost study, that we'll maintain the integrity of the fund and drive savings to the St. Louis public schools, which will then be better utilized in the classroom.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here testifying in favor of Senate Bill 1059? Seeing none. Anyone here testify in opposition to Senate Bill 1059?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Again, Jim Kreider, Executive Director of the Missouri Retired Teachers Association. We'd like to go on record opposing Senate Bill 1059. We would never, ever, ever support a reduction in benefits and at the same time charge the teacher more. Pay more, get less. That's what this bill does. We feel like we know for a fact, or it's been said, that we are 45th in the nation in teacher salaries. So it is the retirement benefit that keeps good, experienced teachers in the classroom. It is basically deferred compensation for working for less than a professional, educated person in the private industry. And yet they're dealing with our kids 8 hours a day. So basically this bill, once again, it reduces benefits and charges more. I'm not sure the bill is constitutional, but I'm not an attorney. I'm not a Supreme Court justice for sure. But I just mentioned that because I don't know how you take an active teacher, reduce their benefit, and charge them more for it. Anyway, we oppose this bill. This also creates a 2-tier system within the St. Louis City School District, which is bad for morale if you check other states where this has happened. When you have teachers working side by side, one's getting more, one's getting less, one's paying more, one's paying less. I think St. Louis City has a more difficult time now attracting teachers because it's more beneficial to go outstate and work in the future because of the retirement system, retirement benefit. So, you know, in our mind, we'd like St. Louis City to have the same benefits as ESRS outstate Missouri, but not less. And so for those reasons, we testify against it in opposition to it, and we'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions for this witness?
Thank you.
None. Thank you. Anyone else here to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 1059?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Luana Gifford, AFT Missouri, would also like to go on record that we oppose Senate Bill 1059. I just want to mention too, as we're talking about raising the contribution of the teacher, that the St. Louis system also pays into Social Security. So besides the amount they pay into retirement, they also pay into Social Security. So, thank you.
All right. Any questions for this witness? Amen. Thank you. Anyone else here to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 1059? Anyone here to testify for informational purposes only on Senate Bill 1059? Senator, do you have any concluding statements?
No, and we can adjourn our committee.
Okay. All right. That concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 1059.